Hi, I'm your host, Kasky Hunsader, and we are here at Bartini in Hell's Kitchen talking with Marissa Perry and Jen Allen from the Broadway production of Sister Act, now playing at the Broadway Theater. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your backgrounds a little bit. Marissa, tell us about yourself.
Okay, about myself. I am from Connecticut originally. I moved here when I was 18 and been here ever since, working professionally since I was 18 years old, and it's been a wild ride. I've done Hairspray on Broadway, and Sister Act is my second Broadway show.
And you were the last Tracy on Broadway,
I was,
right?
before, I was the last full-time Tracy hired, and then Marissa Jarrett-Winokur came in to finish it off the last 4 weeks of Hairspray, which was amazing. And but Harvey came in before I was done there, and so I got to do it with him, and it was an amazing experience.
Jen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm originally from San Diego, California, and I moved here when I was 19. Just sort of threw myself here to go to the Neighborhood Playhouse School of Theater, study the Meisner technique. And I had a suitcase of summer clothes. And my mother expected me to come back, and I did not. Which I had sort of in the back of my mind. I had tooled around a little bit with college back home, and we didn't match very well. And I had some friends already out here who were beckoning me to come and try it. And so for about the first 5 years that I was out here, maybe more, I was kind of chewed up and spit out by New York. And eventually I got my my first professional job in New Jersey, playing a cat in Pinocchio at the Children's Theater. It was wonderful. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven because it was super fun. Eventually I went and did some basically like school bus and truck tours, non-equity, of Jesus Christ Superstar, and then after that I played the lead in Funny Girl, non-equity, and there was a producer in the audience who saw me somewhere doing this, probably Vermont, in a high school auditorium, and had me come in to audition for Joel Grey in Cabaret, and that was my big break into getting an actual equity card and getting to cover a leading role, and I played one of the two ladies. So that was in Cabaret, the postpartum tour with Joel Grey. So that was when I became Union. And finished that tour, and then did the tour of Jerome Robbins Broadway in the Faith Prince track, which is something that I've often done. They're taken over for her or understudied her, maybe like I think about 4 or 5 shows. So I've done 7 Broadway shows. A lot of covering. I took over for Faith Prince and Guys and Dolls, and I was the understudy, and I took over for her. But I usually end up doing shows that have a wide range of characters, because I'm sort of deeply in the cracks of everything.
Now, Marissa, you did one of the first regional productions of Hairspray, which is kind of, and that got the attention of the creative team, which is what brought you to the Broadway production.
Right.
But tell us about that regional production and how that came about, and then the transition to Broadway.
Yeah. Oh, well, when I was younger, I was in auditions with Hairspray, and when it was setting out the tour and all that kind of stuff, and they loved me, and I went in all the time for it, and it just kind of like fizzled. I went to Toronto with it. They took me to Tracy Camp, which is what they called us, and two of us girls went up and learned the role. That's when I got my equity card. And the ball kind of like stopped rolling. I was doing a show called Princesses, which was David Zippel's new musical, and we were set to go to Broadway, and so I kind of just like put Hairspray on the back burner. And so when the regional rights went out, my agent called and asked if I would be interested in going in for Weston Playhouse, and I said yes, and so I went in, and they hired me practically in the room, which was great. And there was opening night when Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman happened to be coming through, and they just stopped to see the show, and they ended up doing a talk back with with some people in the audience and stuff like that, and afterwards Mark and I got to talking, and he said that he would, love to have me be brought back in for the producers and stuff like that. And I was signing my Broadway contract a week after I got home.
Wow.
So it was amazing. It was definitely a Cinderella story. And Mark always says, you know, just when you think no one's watching you, you know, there's always someone that's watching, you know. It's the interesting thing about Jen and I is we've both been Broadway stars. And we both now are in the ensemble and cover. And so the thing that I relate to Jen Allen about often is that, you know, you get to do it all in this business. And sometimes it's not always about being, you know, taking the final bow or, you know, getting paid the most, or it's a matter of gathering all different kinds of experience and being able to do everything. And that's something that I relate to her about, and I've learned, you know, about from her is, you know, sometimes you're stepping into the spotlight, sometimes you're not, and that's okay. You know, you don't always have to be that one person in order to have a lengthy, successful, amazing career in this business, and especially on Broadway.
So I can imagine being on stage as the leading lady definitely gives you the experience so that when it is time to step up as an understudy, you're ready to go on and you know what that's like.
It does, and it takes the pressure off of someone who doesn't know what that's like. Having been in that position, you just kind of take it as, well, you're going on to do your job, and hopefully you're prepared. Sometimes not.
Sometimes not.
Sometimes not as prepared as you would like to be. I think when I went on for Sarah Bolt as Sister Mary Patrick for the first time, I had never been swung out. I had never, I think I had like maybe one understudy rehearsal. It was, you know, it was kind of just like balls out, do what you got to do, and fill in the blank.
Well, I cover actually 3 roles in Sister Act, and one is like a featured ensemble, Martin of Tours, Lazarus, and Mother Superior. And because we had a switchover of cast and I was filling in for a chunk of time, I didn't really, they didn't really expect me to have to also be ready for the other things, because I sort of was filling in quite a bit for Mother Superior. So, Mary Lazarus was my least rehearsed role, and but you know, I knew it, and you knew it. You know these things by osmosis. You're in your own ensemble track, and you sort of can feel the other, and you can imagine yourself saying those lines and being in that position. And it is creative visualization a lot, understudy work, and also hearing where the audience reacts and knowing that you need to get that same reaction, but it has to come from you, from a real place. And that's tricky to figure out because the show is as a machine and constructed, especially a comedy. You know, this is exactly
Absolutely.
where things land. This is how this person is going to expect me to deliver for them, meaning the other people in the show. So it's an interesting art form, being an understudy and fitting into the machine of the show. And you are creating something,
Right.
but you are creating in a very strict, regimented kind of format, especially this tight kind of comedy work. So it is tricky, and it does take a lot of creative visualization, and it takes a lot of watching the person that you're covering, watching them at how they relate to know how to give something to the principal that you'll be.
So how much leeway were you given to make that character your own versus conforming to the regimented, the mechanical track stuff that you needed to make sure you hit to keep the show going? But how much leeway were you given?
There was a definitive sort of a structure that's very strong. I mean, it can come down to exactly how you are positioning your voice, even and inflection. It can even come, you know, it's very specific in this kind of comedy work, especially Jerry Zach's comedy, where you have to, it's a big motor and you have to fit into that. So that is there, and then knowing all of those, that timing kind of situation, I think it's mainly timing.
Yeah.
To then make that something that comes from you, and I hate the word organic organically. So
I love that word.
That's what it is. So there was some leeway. Also, you know, your vocal instrument is going to be different than who you're covering, and that's always been the case for Mother Superior. I have a different different skill set. It's like a little set, like a little fisherman's kit that you open up, a different skill set of what I can do with my voice to sing, make something sound exciting within my voice, you know, as opposed to trying to imitate the sound of someone else's voice.
Right.
You know, they should never feel ripped off by an understudy. They should say, wow, that was a great show. Oh, that's the understudy. That's really what it should be. You know?
And it is your responsibility, I think, as an understudy to make sure that you get yourself to that point. I don't believe in bad understudies. I think that it's a responsibility to step in and make it seem like you were always supposed to be there. And, you know, there's always this argument as far as understudies go where, you know, you don't want to copy, like Jen was saying, you know, what was going on. But the bottom line is you're playing the same character as the person who's on every night, as the same character as the other understudy plays. You know what I mean? So there are those things that are going to be the same, that are going to be similar. You would just hope to find your own comedy bits, you know, your own things that make it work for you, that you find comedically funny about the character within yourself. But the bottom line is you're playing the same person, you know, and so there's a lot of criticism when it comes to that kind of thing. And I think that people who have never been in an understudy's shoes will never understand that until you are.
We'll be right back with more Standing By with Marissa Perry and Jen Allen from Sister Act. Welcome back to Standing By. I'm your host, Cassidy Hunsader, and we were talking with Marissa Perry and Jen Allen from Broadway's Sister Act. All right, so we talked about what it's like to understudy, going on for all of that. Talk about the show in general. I've seen it. It is so energetic. You guys look like you're having an absolute blast up on the show. How's it been having this run go on for so long?
Oh, it's been amazing. I mean, we have some amazing women in our show. I mean, the guys go without saying, they're awesome. But our female ensemble and, you know, just the females that are in our building are phenomenal. And they range from, you know, all ages, all types, all different backgrounds, experience. It's been an awesome learning experience for me, coming in as one of the younger, you know, girls and the less experienced.
And it's unusual that the show, for a Broadway show, to have such a large, predominantly female cast ensemble. I mean, for the most part. So what kind of energy does that bring to the show?
It is extraordinary that it is run, and the motor of the show is female, and the story, the two lead characters that are at odds with each other are and almost romantically are the Mother Superior and Dolores, and the secondary characters are the men. So it is about the relationship of the Mother Superior and Dolores, and how Dolores changes and how the Mother Superior changes, and they sort of meet in the middle, and towards the end, after a great battle between the two characters. And the women in the cast, the nuns are extremely mysterious creatures that a lot of people don't really understand or think are funny, like in the nun sense kind of way, or all of us have tried to wrap our heads around what it would be like to be in a convent just with women. But generally that kind of goodwill and working as a female community has been very inspiring. I guess there's like 3 generations of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also unusual. Not only the fact that there are so many women in the show, but it's not all chorus girls or something like that. It's a really wide dynamic.
Yeah, 3 generations of women, pretty much. Some of us are starting their careers. Some of us are extremely seasoned at a very young age, like this one.
It's interesting because it feels, you know, everyone always says, people in the business say, we saw hundreds of women for this, for this show, casting this show. And I know myself, I had like 5 callbacks and stuff like that. And without sounding too like, woojie woojie, I think that Jerry Zaks, was really careful about casting good people. And not just talented people, but people who understand giving up the spotlight, understand working as a whole, and who come with no ego. Because our nuns, you can't. You cannot come with an ego. You cannot come, with any type of attitude. It won't work. Our show will not work if there's one person that's, scrounging for the spotlight. Or I think he was really, really careful and still does take care of who he puts in our convent, because it's such a delicate situation, such a delicate place, and we work so closely that any of that kind of madness will show. And it's a very serene experience and exciting, but we really work as one. And that's what he was looking for, Jerry Zaks was looking for, and I think the entire creative team was kind of looking for women that would do that, and gladly. It is really nice to come to a place where there is love, for one another, and there is the whole idea that we're going to go do this together, and we can't do it alone. It has to be done, all of us or nothing.
And we have all learned quite a bit through this experience from all of this wide variety of very intense personalities. There really are.
Yeah.
I mean, we get along, but it's we're all very, very extremely different from each other.
I think that Jen Simard, one of the girls on our show, says we all could lead a show, and somehow we all come together and do it together. We all have or could or step into a leading lady position, and that personality dynamic is in our room. There's 12 Broadway stars in our dressing room.
How fun is it to be doing those big numbers every night?
It certainly is a blast, and I want to never be under a certain amount of energy. It's very strenuous, I'm not going to lie. And I'm not the youngest one there, but I'm putting it out there. And certainly there's some wear and tear on the body and the voice that, is something that you need to get plenty of rest for afterwards.
Yes.
If you're delivering these big numbers, there's 3 aerobic numbers back to back with some heavy duty singing involved on top of the aerobics. I've certainly become a lot stronger physically from doing it, and I'm very proud of that. I have a lot of stamina that I didn't have before I started the show. Because it's a whopper.
What's your favorite moment in the show?
My favorite moment in the show is our first entrance. Our first entrance when we can't sing, or we don't have support, we have no joy, and the reaction that we get from the audience from just standing there trying to sing this Latin for Christmas, and it's Christmas, just all that juxtaposed to me is hilarious, and I have such a good time doing that, coming out and trying to sing with no support, but not blatantly bad, but just and just someone pretending to be a person who is not a performer is really fun.
Yeah.
Just feels like a middle school production or something when we come out. It's really gratifying to me, that opening thing. The rest of it is fantastic too, because we're really in our performance mode, but I just love that opening moment because it's ridiculous.
I love when an understudy's on. I always have. I think my favorite moment is the end of Raise Your Voice. It never gets old, and I can't always say that about everything, but that moment where we're all making the sound that I think the Sister Act sound has kind of stamped on Broadway is ridiculous to me. And just to hear, 15 ladies singing in the stratosphere, for real. Like, it's beyond. And to hear it happening next to me or behind me or all surrounding my ears, it's like, I wish that I could shut up and listen instead of sing my part, because that, when we finally let loose and it's like a big vocal orgasm, it's amazing. It's just that. It's an eargasm, as I like to say. It's just so exciting, and it doesn't get old. And I think the audience always reacts in the way that we expect it. They're always blown away. So it's a very gratifying moment to be a part of, I think.
Well, that's all the time we have today on Standing By. I'd like to thank you for joining us and thank our guests, Marissa Perry and Jen Allen, for Broadway's Sister Act. You can check out more information about the show and how to get tickets at sisteractbroadway.com. Now playing through August 26th at the Broadway Theater, and then beginning in October, touring all across the country. For more information about our show, check us out on standingbytv.com. We'll see you when we pull up the curtain on another episode of Standing By.